What's up? This is The Pitch. Welcome to another episode of The Pitch. I'm your host, John Fox, alongside here with Mike Peps Peroni.
What's up?
And Mitch Sabatelli. Now, we have an awesome show for you guys today. Mitch goes 4-0 in the NHL Final Four picks. We'll break down the matchups. Doc is also back, but the Celtics are done. Now, Miami Cruz is on. Defending Lakers are also gone, as we'll break that down. The NBA Conference Finals matchups. And we got some baseball topics to bring up for you later in the show. Now, we'll start off with the NHL. We'll start off with NHL last week and NBA today. Mitch, the C's fall to the Miami in 5 games. What went wrong? Four games to 1.
That dislocated elbow for Rondo, that was tough.
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough to pump up
the Celtics, they're legitimately too old. I think it's finally safe to say they are a little too old. You could see in the last 2 games, Garnett had a monster game 3, but in game 4 and game 5, his legs were done. He was shooting abysmal. Fourth game there after his awesome game 3. He was done. Rajon Rondo with that injury, who knows? Maybe if he didn't have the injury, if he could still be playing, I doubt that. I think Miami was too good from the very beginning of the season. They're going to be very good for a long time. I think the problem is, the Miami was too quick. They're too talented, basically. Yeah. The Celtics are well coached, obviously, by Doc Rivers, and they have the chemistry. They have the experience, but without Kendrick Perkins, they didn't have that defensive presence down low. I think that really affected them.
I don't think that would have done it though.
And Jermaine had a solid series, but I just think the Celtics were overmatched. So by those 2 guys, might be the top 2 players in the game right now.
The Celtics are like an older big 3. The problem is, I wish that this happened when they're all in their their complete prime.
Yeah.
Like Garnett, Allen, and Pierce were in their complete prime. They were at the end of their prime, and that's when they won the championship. Then they just started kind of falling, like a lackluster performances in like the next 2010 finals, and then losing to the Magic in that Eastern Conference.
Isn't it fitting how you think that the big 3 of old go out with the new big 3 coming in? You know what I'm saying? Pierce, Garnett, Allen, as they fade away, the new big 3 is in. I don't
see that happening though. I don't see Jeff Green, of all people, like being that guy. I don't see Big Baby or anyone stepping up.
No, I'm talking about
like someone coming in.
No, I'm saying
someone else.
I'm just saying, isn't it fitting how Miami did this as almost like a symbolism that Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, they had their time. Their time's gone. Yeah. Miami takes them down, and now they're big 3. LeBron, Bosh, and Wade come back in. Yeah.
LeBron even quoted after the game. He was like, "This is the team of why we did this whole entire thing." I agree. And we got past them. They're the whole reason why we started this whole entire Big 3 move to South Beach.
Yeah, and I think LeBron has a bad rep for being, not very classy. I thought he ended that with class. I think giving a shout out to Doc Rivers. Maybe it was a campaign to get Doc Rivers to coach the Heat down the road. That's not going to happen, as we're going to go into that. But
I don't think it really matters at this point.
But I also think he left with class. I think it was a good winner there. He said he really respects what the Celtics did, and that's why they did that. I don't agree with that completely. He wanted to go to South Beach with all the parties or whatever. But I think he
go where you can win.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
He could have left and just said, we overplayed them. They're past their prime, and we're the team to beat. But no, he sits back and he gives respect to Rivers. He gives respect to the big 3. Yeah. And I think that was really solid with him.
Oh, I give all the respect in the world to a team I just decimated.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that. But, I respect you. Hey, I'm moving on. See you later. See you next season. But, I mean, I think with the Garnett thing, he had 28 points and 18 rebounds 1 game, 8 and 7 in 2 other games and 2 losses. You can't be doing that. Garnett and Rondo, both with single-digit games and 2 different losses that they have. You need everyone in that front line to produce, or you're not going to win at all. And on top of it, Delonte West being the only bench scorer scoring in double digits. And he's only getting 10 per game.
Yeah. They need to sign Delonte West for next season. I think out of all the bench guys, if they let Baby go. Did you see Baby after the game? They asked Baby, so Baby, what do you think about your future? And he says, whether it's here as a Celtic or here, meaning anywhere else. It kind of gave a clue that they wanted to even go to Miami. He was saying that he wanted to go to Miami. I think that was a a bold move there. I didn't like that. I don't like Baby. I thought he was at an awful series this against the Heat.
Like, what happened?
Yeah,
It's so great in, the previous playoff series.
Yes, I think
especially against the Pistons. Remember that in 2008?
Oh yeah.
Against the Pistons, he was unreal.
Oh, he was unreal in 2008. He was unreal in the last couple of years. I think this year definitely took a step back.
But I don't think he had enough playing time either. I bet he's frustrated with that too.
Yeah.
Like, you have these big four.
Yeah.
And then you had Perkins for a little while, and obviously you're not going to substitute Perkins for Baby because Perkins is so defensively good.
Yeah, and I got a couple more points. I think Danny Ainge, I think it was safe to say that trade was terrible. I think with Kendrick Perkins, it would have been sad. I mean, it's right. It's kind of sad right now because if you did have Perkins, what would have happened? Rondo would have been more. His game would have elevated. They would have all. They had that gel. They had that chemistry right there with Perk. I think they all took a step back once Perk got traded. But also, I think Miami, they're still in the prime. So when we got our big three, they were already 32, 33. They're 28, 27, and this is their first year together.
Wade is in his complete prime. He is unconscious.
And LeBron, he's only 27. I mean, this team's going to be very good for some time. And they still got a couple veteran minimums they can give to people. They were going to try to sign Perk before he signed the deal with Thunder. I think they're going to be good for quite some time. I think the series opened my eyes. I think they're going to be solid.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next question, I just want to ask you guys something.
Yeah.
Do you think the defining moment was Game 4? Obviously, when
they
lost Game 4.
I agree.
I thought they just gave it away at the end right there. And you know what's upsetting?
Yeah.
The Celtics' final second strategy. They do it
I was
all the
just about
time.
to say that.
Yeah, they do it all the time. Like they just think it's like, oh yeah, we'll chill for this 19 seconds and just run down the time until there's 6 seconds on the clock. But you have to make something quick.
Yeah.
And you can't. And it's.
Do you see
that? There was not enough movement. They too much relying on Pierce. And then
Paul Pierce in Game 5 when Doc Rivers drew up that play and Allen and Garnett, they were trying to set a pick so Pierce can go to his right, and they completely botched that. I thought usually Rivers is good after timeouts, but I thought like you said,
the only thing that they couldn't have botched was just LeBron. I mean, you see LeBron covering, and you see Pierce covering LeBron. He just shoots up a three right in his face and gets it.
The problem is when you're talking about
so good.
Yeah, I know.
No, you're talking about closing. The Celtics, they're very experienced, but Miami has literally the two best closers in the game, and that's incredibly hard to stop.
They weren't doing it early in the season.
They did it when it counts.
They didn't want to counter that as true, but I mean, you show glimpses of fading away in the season. Then you could show glimpses later in these series and fading away.
I think we're going to move on here.
All right, now we've talked about this before in previous episodes. What do you guys think the Celtics' future is?
I mean, their future is tough. Unlike the Lakers, they have a future superstar in Rajon Rondo, so that's going to entice a couple of players to come. And also getting Doc Rivers back, which you talk about.
Right next.
Getting Doc Rivers back, that's going to give a lot of free agents. I think their future, as far as the big three goes, is not looking good. I think I'm going to have a breakdown of what I think the Celtics should do in the offseason coming up. But I think this time, enough of this, it's all about 18. If they go into next year and say, all right, it's all about 18, we're going to go out.
I have the poster.
You need fans to buy tickets.
But I'll be pissed. I think it's time. Garnett and Allen, they still have a little bit of value. I know nobody wants to hear this, but I think the Celtics, if they can go through a rebuilding year next year, get a jump start in it, before there's the big 2012 year with Paul Williams and Dwight Howard, they're going to have massive cap room coming off the books. I look for maybe Danny Ainge pulls the trigger, rebounds from the Perkins deal, trades to Garnett, trades to Allen to get another piece or two, and possibly entice Dwight Howard to come back more. Yeah. I think the future is Rajon Rondo and Dwight Howard's ability if he wants to come to Boston. If Dwight Howard doesn't want to come to Boston, Danny Ainge is going to have to pull something out of his sleeve against.
In all fairness, I know everyone says Garnett's the man there, and then Pierce, and then Allen. I'm sorry, I think Allen has way more value than him.
Oh, right now, Allen
is fast.
Allen is the best.
He can shoot the ball from wherever.
Yeah.
And he can play very good defense down the stretch.
Out of the three, Allen definitely is the most in shape, but the problem is Pierce still just signed that big deal, so you can't trade Pierce. But I'm thinking you can still
I would not trade Pierce anyways.
Yeah, Pierce is very
But for a team that is right there, I'd say Golden State or Portland, that's right there that needs a veteran guy.
True.
If they can get a Garnett or Allen for maybe a small piece, like a Wes Matthews or something, I'll almost take that.
Though. That's why I'd say keep Allen.
But I agree with that. But
who's going to start the shooting guard?
No, that's why you got to make these. I almost want to sacrifice next year.
I think
and
Ray
rebuild
Allen,
for
Ray Allen
2012.
could do that all day.
I'm saying
all
if he
day long.
goes
Just shoot the
with
threes.
Garnett.
But I know Allen still has a lot left in his tank.
Yeah.
When I say a lot, I
He's
mean
a
like
great
2 years or
shape,
so.
too. Great physical.
Wouldn't you rather just trade him now? Rather, you're not going to contend again. I mean, let's be realistic
I say
here.
trade Garnett.
They're not going to be a championship contender next year. Do you agree with that?
I think they'll definitely be top 3.
Oh, all right. Well, top 3. They're still not going to have the best chance.
They
with
don't
Miami.
have the best chance,
The Bulls
but they
are
have
going
a
to be better.
chance. Look at the Grizzlies.
Yeah,
first.
I think the Celtics will be right there as a 4 or 5 seed. But would you really take that? If you're going to be 4 or 5 seed, why not try to get a head start on rebuilding and try to rebuild for 2012 again and possibly be a better seed by 2013? You know what I'm saying? But
Why would you want to just blow a season completely? And I have a question. When you say like the Celtics have a star in Rondo, couldn't you like in a way without all the injuries he's had, maybe possibly Bynum could possibly be their all-star for the future if with all these injuries like staying out because he had a pretty good series too against the Mavs.
oh, you're talking about the Lakers now?
Yeah, I'm talking like comparing him to maybe like Rondo in like a possible like future superstar status. For
Well,
the
we're talking about the
Lakers.
Lakers' future too. But as far as either a Bynum, I think the other Celtics they have. I think the Lakers might have a little bit better future because they still have Kobe for another 2 years.
Sixth man of the year.
Odom, he's getting up there in 33.
Arteta's
But,
done.
you know, Bynum and Gasol, they're still relatively young, especially Bynum. I think they have another couple of years. I think the Celtics are officially not championship contenders anymore.
I think they both still are, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think they'll be in like the bottom half of the championship contenders.
All right.
All right. Well, there is still some light for Boston as Doc Rivers, as we've told you before, signs the 5-year deal with the Celtics. Now, thoughts on this?
Yeah,
Who wants to take it first?
that's huge news for Celtics fans. I think Doc Rivers, he's going to entice, like I just said. If he keeps Rondo, all these players know Doc Rivers' style. Doc Rivers is coaching a lot of All-Star games. I think maybe Dwight Howard, they must have bonded during an All-Star season. I think he's going to entice a lot of free agents to come, knowing Doc Rivers' coaching style, knowing his resume, knowing his defensive strategies. A guy like Dwight Howard is the Defensive Player of the Year again. I think he would definitely want to come to play for a guy like Doc Rivers. I think other guys, like a Chris Paul, like a Darren Williams, would want to come and play for Doc Rivers. I think this helps a lot. If you went into next year with Kevin McHale as your coach, who was going to be probably the successor if he left, I think that wouldn't have been as good. I think 5-year deal, that's huge. I think if there is a rebuilding process, I don't think there's a better coach to do it
I
than
think
him.
they respect him so much. You're paying him $6, possibly $7 million a year. That's a lot more than a lot of coaches get. I mean, but he, like Danny Ainge, even Cody said, Doc Rivers is the best coach in this league, and we want to continue with him.
I think, especially now that Phil Jackson is possibly retiring, I think that Doc Rivers is right there. Maybe 1-2 with Greg Popovich.
The difference is, I think the difference is, I mean, I may be wrong here, but Phil Jackson with like Doc Rivers. Phil Jackson obviously in his own league, but I feel like Rivers is more of a coach. He's not more of a coach. I mean, he's a coach, but he's also
a motivator.
A huge motivator. For the Celtics. I feel like Phil's kind of like taking the back seat.
Yep. I think Doc Rivers
He's still at the
in his
more,
prime.
Doc Rivers
Doc
more
Rivers
of the
more
motivator.
motivational
Phil
coach,
Jackson's
I'd say, yes.
more of the
More of a thought process.
You better do this.
But I think, I think Doc Rivers is he knows his players. He respects his players. He knows their weaknesses. He tries to be friends with his players. I think he's a great
respects them if they need a day off.
He does.
He does stuff like that.
He's one of the
He's and then you need to listen.
similar like a Terry Francona in Boston.
He's like their friend, but in the coach.
Phil Jackson, the sensei. All right. Well, you guys finished with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all good.
All right. Well, you're not all good because you got to tell us your far-fetched mock Celtics off-season.
All right.
Go ahead. Explain.
All right. So the Celtics, like we said, there's a lot of rumors going on. Are they going to blow up the team? And I got to say, I think I would blow up the team right now. I look at a team like Golden State, like I just mentioned, who possibly, they have a solid core with Stephen Curry. They have David Lee. They have Monte Ellis. If they can take Al, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a mock trade here. Boston trades Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and a first-round pick to Golden State for Monte Ellis.
Absolutely not.
Okay, take that. Take Monte Ellis. No, listen. Take Monte Ellis. Then you take a jump start, knowing that Doc Rivers has just signed a 5-year deal. Take Rondo and a second-round pick for Dwight Howard straight up to Orlando. There's not going to be a better package than that.
Wait, what?
If you can take Rajon Rondo and a second-round pick.
A team with Rajon Rondo.
Trade them to Orlando straight up for Dwight Howard.
No.
You wouldn't do that.
I would never do that. I think Howard's the most overrated offensive type of center.
Okay.
In all honesty.
I'm not done yet.
He's more defensive, but
all right. I think that's almost a no-brainer.
single him
You
out as
wouldn't
a
trade Rondo
solitary
for Dwight
guy.
Howard straight up.
Absolutely. I don't know about that because they both bring very, very good things to the table.
Over the next 5 years, realistically, who would you rather have?
I'd love to have Rondo on the team with Ellis.
Rondo's very young.
You think about Rondo and Monte Ellis, speedy, quick guys, get the ball, put it up, make plays.
Okay.
Dwight Howard can't do that in center
All right,
position.
I got a point. That's
He needs people around
not.
him
This
to
is
do
not
that.
really up for. I'm just trying to say what I'm saying.
No, I know you're saying.
Rajon Rondo is not a main superstar that's gonna a Kobe Bryant or a Dwight Howard who's basically gonna take your team by himself and get you as a championship.
Why couldn't he be like a Chris Paul or something like that?
Well, he can't shoot. He has limitations to his game.
He's
He's a very good number 2 in my mind. I don't think he can lead a team to a championship by himself, and he's
why
played with
Monte
3 Hall
Ellis
of Famers. But
shoot.
listen, I'm not done yet. You take Monte Ellis, now you take Rajon Rondo in a second-round pick, who that blows the doors off LA's offer with Andrew Bynum in the first. I wouldn't do that at all. Andrew Bynum, I think he's a little overrated, and he gets hurt every year. So you take Rondo, take second-round pick, trade him to Dwight Howard. And now you have Rondo's a very team-friendly, one of the best contracts in sports at 5 years at $11 million. Trade him for Dwight Howard, possibly get Dwight Howard an extension. Now you have Monte Ellis. And Monte Ellis has almost the exact same contract as Rajon Rondo.
Oh, I think you should trade both of them.
No.
Okay.
So you trade in Garnett and Allen in a first for Monte Ellis, arguably the best scorer in the game. So take Monte Ellis into the game. Now you take Rondo and a second-round pick for Dwight Howard. Now you still have loads of cap room leaving. Listen. Taking out of Garnett's $21 million, that goes out of the books. Allen's $15 million, out of the books.
Monte Ellis, Dwight Howard.
I'm not done. And then you have Delonte for next year. So you have Delonte as your point. You have listen. I'm not done. Delonte as your point. Shooting guards Monte Ellis. Your small forward still Paul Pierce. You still got Paul Pierce. Your power forward is Jeff Green, and they're most likely going to re-up. Then you got centers Dwight Howard. And that's going to be your rebuilding year. As now you have tons of cap room to make a run at either a Darren Williams or a Chris Paul.
You gotta tell me that doesn't sound like a championship caliber team. It does.
It does. I know exactly.
But I mean,
and with Doc Rivers, Chris Paul's whole main thing is he wants to play with Dwight Howard and team up and go to the Knicks. Dwight Howard does not want to go to the Knicks, unlike Chris Paul. If Chris Paul sees that Dwight Howard went to Boston under Doc Rivers, you have a complete cap room. You're now looking at a Chris Paul, Monte Ellis, Paul Pierce, Jeff Green, Dwight Howard starting 5 for the next 5 to 10 years, all in their primes, other than Paul Pierce. That's a massive stretch. I'm just saying, is that extremely out there? Golden State offered 2 years ago at the trade deadline. We offered Golden State Ray Allen and a first straight up for Monte Ellis. They said no. Throw Garnett in there. With Garnett, with Allen, with Stephen Curry. Listen, with Stephen Curry, with David Lee, I think they have a legitimate chance to go against the open West with Lakers fading, with Dallas fading, with Spurs fading. I think they're a solid contender. I think we became a solid contender with Chris Paul, Monte Ellis, Dwight Howard for the next 5 years in their primes with Doc Rivers. And by the time Paul Pierce is done, you still have the Clippers first-round pick. You got your first round in. Once Paul Pierce is done, those first rounders that you trade for Rondo and Dwight Howard, for Dwight Howard and Monte Ellis, those come off the table. Possibly Austin Rivers of Duke, Doc Rivers' son, who wants to play for Celtics, who wants to play for Doc Rivers. Trade up, get him. Now you have Doc Rivers to take.
Isn't his son entering college now?
He is.
Yeah, but he has another son in Indiana.
Yeah, I know, but Austin Rivers, the big guy, he wants to play in Duke for a solid 4 years.
Yeah,
once
so
Paul Pierce is done, I know. Once Paul Pierce is done, yeah, you take those first-round picks, trade up, get an Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers will love to play. You have a solid team for the next 10 years, and with loads of cap space, I think that's a great
I'll give it to you. That's good. That's very good. It's just a pretty good
It's extremely far-fetched. But is it really? Is it really?
If Monte Ellis is arguably one of the best scorers, then, why would you trade Garnett, Allen in a first round for Stephen Curry?
Because they would never do that.
They would never do but Monte Ellis is arguably one of the best scorers in the game.
But
probably arguably the best.
First of all, I'd rather have Monte Ellis.
I think he's better than Durant. But
I'd rather have Monte Ellis than a Stephen Curry, personally. And I also think Stephen Curry is the face of the franchise, so they would never trade him. Monte Ellis has been rumored to go in trades the last couple of years, and actually going back to Boston. I think taking a Monte Ellis, shooting with Chris Paul, Paul Pierce, Monte Ellis, Jeff Green who can shoot, and Dwight Howard. Great defensive team. Go on, Doc Rivers.
Definitely far-fetched. Nothing.
I know, but another year of off-season trading, I think this team would be solid. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you say. That's all.
It's definitely far-fetched. I think it's reasonable.
This is the mind of the mastermind, Coach Sabatelli.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, the mastermind Coach Sabatelli we're halfway through the first part, and the first segment's already 20 minutes long. So we're gonna have to do something about this.
Should we cut it?
Part 2.
We're gonna have to cut it.
Part 2. We'll see you.